What's up, beautiful people? I wanted to come in and share some downloads that I received during my travels to Kissimmee, Florida. Um, yeah, I just had a little moment to take a break from North Florida and go down and take a visit to the Latino and Latinas world. Um, Beautiful weather is a major difference. It's like as soon as you get past Ocala, you start to feel the heat. But besides that, the downloads that I received is more for people to really hear me and understand the way I see life through my perception of life. Okay. Um, just know that it is not meant for you to make everybody happy. And I'm not saying that it's okay to go around being, a bitch and just being nasty, but just realize there's going to be many, many lessons to learn within your lifetime. And you have to understand everybody's not going to match your energy. Whether they are your lover, your partner, your family member, friend, whatever, everybody's not going to be on your level. Everybody's not going to see things the way you see it. And that's okay. Everybody have their own time to really like click in and figure it out. It's almost like as a teacher, when I'm constantly repeating a certain formula over and over and over again, and the student just still can't get it. But then once they try it again, probably a year later, then they be like, oh, so that's how Miss Brown was trying to explain it. So that's pretty much the same concept when you are trying to express yourself and trying to get people to understand your logic, right? Now, I'm the type of person that try to be fair and see. I came from a very chaotic background, and I'm not saying that it was very trying spiritually, emotionally, mentally. It was more challenging. So I learned how to become a tough cookie at a very early age. And I don't want to go into a lot of details about all my trauma and my the bullies and abuse. You can just go back through some of my previous videos on my channel, and you'll see kind of where I'm coming from. That's my truth. That's my experience, right? But I never thought that in 2026, people will still be in their feelings because of something I said or something I did. And I don't intentionally try to hurt people, but I do bring in the reality that I am not the same Kiki you knew back in the 80s or back in the 90s or back in the early 2000s. I'm not. When you go through a spiritual awakening, you don't want to stay on the immature low vibration. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still growing. But when people don't want to grow with you and then you start to show them or point out some of the things they need to change, it's like a hard pill to swallow. And I understand because I was in their shoes. When somebody came to me telling me about, the truth of the Bible and religion, that was a hard pill for me to swallow. I mean, it took me about 5 glasses of water to swallow that pill. But I had to eventually face the reality that, okay, there's other information outside of the Bible that can help direct me in the right way. And and that's just what it is. But let me dive deeper into the point of my message. So it's a given. You're gonna have haters, like I said in many other videos. And I always use Jesus because that's something that was pretty much instilled in me when I was a young child, and a lot of people can still relate to that in the Christian community. And what I'm about to talk about, you see a lot of those habits and behavior patterns within Christians as well. So I don't ever recall him being put in a situation where he wanted to bully somebody or try to force someone to do what he felt like they should do. He would always present some information and allow you to digest it or process it and do as you please. So when he would say, yes, I'm the son of God and we're all children of God, when people tried to deny that or try to rebuttal him, he didn't spend the whole day trying to convince people to believe in what he said. But yet he still suffered and still went through a punishment. And people, low vibrational people still went through the process of torturing him. Right. And so with that in mind, I'm not trying to put myself on a high pedestal and say that I'm like going through what Jesus is going through, but I'm just getting people to understand that if he is recognized as the most highest, special, important entity of the world, and he still was disrespected, we have to know that we're not exempt, we're not excluded. And so My goal in my life is to reach the Christ consciousness and be a little bit more positive and strong throughout a whole lot of spiritual warfare and challenges that I'm faced with, right? And so sometimes when I express myself, people look at me like I'm very mean or very harsh or bitchy or uppity or bougie or whatever, which, I care less. But it's just the fact that when you have been exposed to a lot of bullshit since you've been a little girl, you that get played out. And when I come to you with information, it's because I want to see people prosper and thrive. And I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly in people that's addicted to alcohol, addicted to drugs, very abusive towards their partner, physically, verbally. I've seen it all. I've seen crooks. I've been around murderers. I've been around people that were completely out of their mind to the point where they was trying to debate on whether they should shoot me or not. So I'm just saying, when I bring information, it's just to help. That's all. Inspire, motivate, because many people may be going through things worse than that I ever been through, and they need that motivation. They need that inspiration. They need to come out of depression. They need to break addictions and family curses, and they really don't know where to begin. And so I'm not saying it's an easy process. I'm not saying that every advice and everything I say will help resolve. Hold on, y'all. My baby trying to check and see if I made it from Kissimmee okay. Okay, so yeah, so basically, I don't expect anybody to just be, oh, I'm healed, I'm holy, and I'm all different. No, it's a process. Just like I'm growing, it's a process for me as well. I know I don't have all the answers, but I have enough answers not to be trying to get caught up in some BS. So recently, I had got into a little spat with somebody, a family member, right? And so I shared some things with this family member, not because I was trying to really, how can I explain it? It was me venting and trying to come up with a solution and hoping that since this person, this older person that I'm venting to, have wisdom and been through some of the things that I'm being challenged with, maybe they can say some things and point me in the right direction, much like what I do in my videos, right? And so I didn't expect this particular person that I was trying to trust with the information to go back and repeat it. And then not just that, they repeated it to someone that I know for a fact that possibly couldn't have no good advice about the situation, because at the end of the day, they were challenged with the same situation, but they decided to find the easy way out and just, cut the situation without any type of remorse or much thought put into it. So I'll just put it in there. I'm not going to really go into details, but um, they know who I'm talking about, and they know who it's meant for, right? And so I'm trying to explain to this older person that, hey, I did not want my information, or the information I shared with you, to be spreaded around, because that's like gossip. But they're telling me, oh, that's what family do. Family gossip. That's just given. But I'm like, okay, there's a difference between when you're gossiping and you're trying to make somebody else's situation look worse than what it is, because your shit look jacked up and you don't want to be faced with your stuff. So you got to dwell on something somebody else going through. And then now you just created a whole grapevine of lies. You know what I mean? Because once you tell the story to one person, that person gonna twist it around and make it to where they can explain it better to another person. And it's almost like playing the game telephone. When you whisper one thing in somebody's ear, and it can be 10 people, by the time it get to the ninth person, it'd be something totally different. And that's what that's not cool to me at all. And I'm going to point it out. And see, people don't like this new version of me because I'm at the point to where I don't have any tolerance for BS. They want me to be the same person that's a yes, a ma'am, that's very timid and quiet and scared and emotional. They want me to spaz out. They want me, no, no. No, when you go through a spiritual awakening, you have more emotional intelligence, you observe, and then you act accordingly. And you match people energy when it's necessary. You know what I mean? And so I feel like I was given the gift not only just to teach children and elementary students, but I feel like many people, like adults, are still walking around broken and lost and don't really have the right guidance to treat people and have moral integrity and respect for others. So that's why I come over here to these videos and I vent and I express the things that I wouldn't tolerate. And if I was you, I wouldn't tolerate it either. No, you can't stop people from talking about you. You're going to have haters no matter what, like I said earlier. But when you're faced with that kind of situation, you know how to handle it accordingly. You understand? But yeah, it's like even with and knowing the difference between who to talk to and who not to talk to. I'm not big on having a whole lot of friends in my face because it's too much energy trying to figure out which one real and which one fake. I keep my circle small, and so once I know that okay, I shared this information with this small group, then I already know how it got out. I already know. I don't have to go through a whole lot of people to figure it out. And so that's kind of how I see life. People, when you're trying to start um, building more self-love, you have that's an ongoing process. That's something that you have to do intentionally, because people will try to break you down and make you feel less than because you're not thinking like them and doing things like the way they want you to do. I am the type of person to where I have forgiveness in my heart, but at the same time, I'm not finna be walking around with an aching heart no more because somebody hurt me and think I'm supposed to be okay with that. It's been many times throughout my marriage where I had to deal with abuse, right? And then I would point it out, and then they would tell me, "Oh, well, my mama went through it. My auntie did it. My uncle hurt my auntie. Like, what's the big deal? Why you acting all like?" And see, that's because when you don't know better, you accept anything. But when you know better, you do better, right? And so I had to go through a whole 360 within my mindset, which started to trickle out into my body to just be able to accept the person that I am. No, I'm not no top model. No, I don't have the perfect grill. I don't have the perfect Coca-Cola body, but I appreciate what I have because this is how I see it. It could be, if you don't appreciate what you have, then it could possibly get worse. This is how I see it. If I had no hair on my head because maybe I damaged it from a whole lot of chemicals and different tight braids and stuff like that, you know, but yeah, I said to myself, okay, I need to make some changes, right? But my hair is damaged and thin. I'm going to still appreciate my damaged thin hair because at least I don't have to worry about, and this is no offense against people who are struggling with cancer, but at least I don't have to worry about it going to that level where I have to be completely shiny bald head. Just because I don't have the perfect grill, I can appreciate the fact that at least I don't have to, you know, walk around with no teeth at all. So that's what I'm saying. You got to learn how to appreciate the little bit you have. And at one time I used to feel that way. I used to say, you know what, even with my relationships, I say, you know what, I ain't too crazy about the way this man is treating me. He's not really showing me a lot of respect, but at least he do like me. And that's the lowest thing you can possibly do to yourself. Yeah, he cheats on me, but he do keep the bills and the lights on. No, you need to work on getting your own lights on. Yeah, I don't have transportation, and he does flake on me. He does ghost me, but he does eventually come back around. No, he doesn't value you. He does not have any respect for you. And if you don't have respect for yourself, you'll find yourself crawling and begging and trying to kiss up to somebody that don't have no respect for you at all. And see, a lot of the guys that I did run into and tried to talk and try to start something with, they don't really understand how I know how to turn on my loving stuffed animal teddy bear. But then once I start feeling like, okay, I'm not being valued, I turn into a wild bear that's out in the woods, a grizzly bear. And and the way they hurt me, they gonna feel the pain too. Like, don't come to me trying to play mind games and play in my face, but then want me to be like, I'm happy you're in my company. No, I know how to detach. You know who taught me how to detach? My mother. I learned how to detach early on in life because that's pretty much what I experienced. So I be trying to tell people, I be trying to leave these videos. When guys be trying to show me attention, I try to recommend them to my videos because I want them to know what they're getting into so they don't waste their time. Yeah, I'm a lovable person. Yes, I'm very nurturing. Yes, I'm very generous, but I can turn into the nastiest bitch and still stay classy. Yes, I can. And have you out there looking like a straight ass fool. So be mindful. Be mindful. I'm not trying to throw out threats. I'm not trying to say I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you got to know when it's time to love yourself and require people to respect you if they want respect in return. See, when I look at a guy, I'm looking at his heart while he's probably busy looking at how he going to put me in different sexual positions. You know what I mean? Like, when I look at a guy, I look at, okay, is he a good role model? Hold on, I'm coming out. I look at whether he's a role model for my family. Does he take accountability? But he's probably looking at me like, okay, what can she cook? What can she give me? And see, this is how I see it. I, okay. If I have to cook, you have to provide the means for me to cook. You know what I mean? If I have to keep the place tidied up, you have to provide the means for that. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying all the responsibility be on one person, but I feel like you have to give something. Don't think that you coming in the bedroom licking me from the rooter to the tutor is gonna help me be okay with all the bullshit that's being brought in and the lack and the mental um, immaturity. I know, no, no. Mm-mm. So to the women out there, start building up your confidence. No matter if somebody broke your heart, no matter if you was, tried and used and whatever, love yourself. No matter if you was put in a position to where you ended up having a high body count, you still got your life, health, and strength to make changes with that. We all make mistakes. No one can walk around and say they don't have a story from making a mistake or making choices, poor choices that, set them back, but they're able to bounce back from. You understand? So, no matter how much you go to the church and they call you a sinner, at the end of the day, you're still a child of God. You still got purpose. You are loved. If it ain't by people in your family and your partner, you are still loved. I love you. Okay? So I'm gonna end it here. Just realize, don't try to overthink it. Take your time through the spiritual walk and realize it's gonna take humbleness, consistency, and patience with dealing with people that's still walking around like sleep zombies. You just gotta work with it. And then eventually your peace of mind is coming. Your blessings, they're coming. Let me tell you what I've seen since I've been here on this earth. I've seen my words, my actions. I've seen it really turn people's life around. I've seen children light up. I've seen animals feel so relieved within my presence. I've also seen people go through a very traumatic change. Not because I'm an evil witch, not because I have demons. That's because when you know that you have a connection with the spiritual world, they're going to have your back. No matter if you do make mistakes, they're still going to have your back and they're going to provide the things you need. Let me tell you, I went all the way to Kissimmee with $140. That was a risk. Anything could have happened. But because I had faith that I can make it there and make it back, I went ahead and took that risk. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm going through challenges. Yeah, we all gonna go through it. But I love to know that the end of my challenge is always a rainbow at the end. Yeah, I went through having broken hearts from different foolery. But I know eventually at the end, I'm gonna be able to smile in the arms of somebody who's really patient, very caring, very loyal. Because when I bring loyalty, you better bring it too. You better bring protection, especially over my pussy. Okay? So I'm out.